Okay.
What do you think are the main problems of development in Europe?
The main problems of development in Europe today, I would say, relate to the problem of growth in general, the concept of growth, the development paradigm based on growth, which is probably in a longer term unsustainable, but it's very difficult to get people to think beyond growth in terms of what development might mean. To that extent, we might even want to abandon the concept of development itself.
What are the key elements of common good in your opinion?
The key elements of common good, in my opinion, would be some combination of what I would regard as core values of a good society and human dignity. And those core values would include democracy, distributive justice, ecological integrity, peace, solidarity, material well-being or material security, cultural vibrancy, moral conduct, moral propriety. The exact combination of those core values is obviously something that has to be worked out and is open to a lot of debate.
What are the traditions and cultural characteristics of development that Europe could contribute to the discourse about development and common good?
Oh, contributions from Europe to notions of a global common good. Well, there are many Europes, so I'm hesitant to say there is a European view. The heritage of Europe, I suppose, does place a lot of emphasis on solidarity, on democracy, on equality, and those values have worth. But I wouldn't want those values to be taken as universal or as a prescription whereby Europe should be teaching the rest of the world what a good society is, because Europe makes plenty of mistakes as well.
What do you think are the key elements of a fair and sustainable development concept on the global scale?
A fair and sustainable development concept on the global scale, what that would look like? I don't know, and I mean that actually. I think it's a question that shouldn't be answered by people individually, but it should be answered through a dialogue among the diversities of the world, in terms of the various positions that people might take on that question. And I'd like to see answers to that question emerge out of a dialogue of diversity. And I wouldn't want to give my own answer until I've talked with other people.
In what way does it make sense to think about a global common good?
It makes sense to talk about a global common good in as much as there are important pressing challenges of contemporary society which are planetary in scope and which need planetary responses. It would be therefore necessary to coordinate and discuss approaches to those global problems together worldwide. I don't think that necessarily means that the global common good has to be a single universal conception that everyone agrees on. I suspect that the notions of a global common good will be contested, will be various, and that we will have unending contestations about what the global common good actually is. And that's not a problem. That actually makes it interesting.
And the final questions, which are the most important political steps that world society should go through during the next decade?
The most important steps that world society should go through the next decade. Yeah, so there is a world society. There are problems about dealing with ecological integrity and how we keep that. That's vital. There are problems about reinventing democracy, because politics and governance are now working very differently than they did in previous times, but we haven't adjusted our practices of democracy to make sure that the new forms of governance are democratic. And I would say there are problems about distributive justice in capitalism as it works today, There's huge inequalities, absolutely astronomical inequalities in the global economy, and ways of progressively redistributing that wealth is vital. And I think we need ethics, new ethics and new politics to deal with cultural diversity. Not the old imperialist assimilationism that says everyone must become like the West, not a multiculturalism that says, well, we're not really going to engage with each other too much, we'll just live in our separate spheres, but some kind of new transcultural ethics and politics which we still need to embed.
Thank you very much.